And here is where we can assign the classes to the different nets. Now the way this screen works is this screen shows you all available net classes. That's what we're going to assign to the nets. And it's going to show you what their class-to-class affiliations are, if they have them. And they can then show you what CSets are assigned to the class, what CSets are assigned to the class-to-class. And so when I select a class to assign to a net, I can see all the additional associations that are included with it. Now if we scroll over, we'll actually see the details of all these CSet assignments. So one of the purposes of this screen is so that when you make your selection of a class, you don't have to go back somewhere else to look or to see what it is or to see what values there are, to see what CSets are associated with the class, to see what class-to-class it's in, and then to see what the actual values in the CSets are. If I select any of these fields and do a right mouse click, I can do a display layers, and I can see a cross-sectional view of what those values are by layer. So when we assign the net class, which is what we'll do here, to a selection of nets, then we'll be able to see all the associations and hierarchical inheritances that will occur when it's Netrev'ed in the Constraint Manager. I can also filter this display. I could turn off Show Same Net CSet. I can turn off CSet. I can even turn off class-to-class, so that I have a much simpler kind of display. Shows me just the classes and just the CSets associated with the classes. I'll turn them all back on. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Choose Nets chooser. We have a class called Address Control No Clock. It has a CSet assigned to it, and that class is a collection of constraints that can be assigned to nets. And so what I want to do is to pick all the nets that I want to assign that class to. So I'll highlight them, put them in my collection box. I could use a wildcard search if that was what I wanted to do. You might choose different ones that you want to use in your schematic. But these are the ones I'll use for this example. And just like in the selection process for assigning CSets to classes, we'll select the class that we want to use. That will show up in this field right next to the list, New Net Class. These are the nets that I want to assign this class to. And I'll select Apply New or Selected Class to Selected Nets. And notice that it's not called Spacing Class here. In Capture, it's called Net Spacing Type. That's the property. And when that property is netlisted or netrev'ed to PCB Editor and Constraint Manager, it will become the spacing class called DDR Address Control No Clock. Let's assign the other classes to the nets in the schematic. I'll select Choose Nets. We could have selected these graphically from the schematic by doing cross-probing from Capture to MakeCap. But I'm going to use the Boolean search tool. I'll do a search on DQS to collect all the strobes. Select these into the collection box. Everything looks good. I'll say OK. I'll scroll down to the DDR strobes. We'll see these in the New Net Class box in the field. Apply the selected class to the selected nets to the DQS and do a save. We don't have to save. I can continue working. For instance, I can go in and choose nets. And now since we have a class assigned to the address control no clock, I could select those. That will select all the nets that that class has been assigned to. And now we can see all of these populated in our local assignment box in our local list of nets. I can sort this so I can see all the nets that the DDR address control no clock was assigned to, or the DDR strobe class was assigned to. I can sort by net name. And we'll use this sort facility as we go along to do the byte lanes. Let's go ahead and assign the class to the clocks. Go back to my chooser. I'll highlight the two clocks. Add that to my list. And if I do a sort on net spacing type and scroll down, I'll find the clocks because they don't have classes yet. So I can find out what nets that I've selected still need to have classes assigned, which is what I just did. So I'll select the two clocks. And I'll turn off all of my information below except just the net classes and their CSets. And here we have DDR clock. Here we have DDR clock. I'll select that and apply that to the two clocks. That just leaves the byte lanes. That's a little more complicated to pick which nets are going to be in each byte lane, so let's look at a couple of ways I can do that. First, I'll unselect from the collection box. What I want to filter on for my byte lanes is DDR_D star. I'll select those into my collection box. That's going to get everything I want, but it's also going to get the strobes, which I don't want. So I'm going to go into classes, and I'll select the class DDR strobes, and that will get all the nets that that class is assigned to. Nothing's changed in my collection box, but down here I have DDR strobes in my unselect box. So if I highlight that and unselect the nets associated with that class, that has removed the strobes from my collection box. So that's why we call it a Boolean search. We can do add, subtract by class, by net name, by different affiliations to create a resultant set of nets that we want to work with. So now I'll say OK. And these have now been added to our selection box. And this list simply displays whatever is selected at any given moment, whether it's in the schematic. I want to select once to unselect everything. Then holding the Shift key, I'll select the data bits that are going to go into byte lane 0. I'll select the byte lane 0 class and assign it. I'll select the data bits for byte lane 1. Select the byte lane 1 class and assign it. I'll do the other data bits and then we'll do the mask bits last. So we'll pick up the movie at that point. Okay, so I've assigned all the data bits to their byte lanes. Scroll down, we can see all the byte lanes defined. And now because we can do a sort, we can see that just the mask bits are required. So I'll just individually quickly apply these. I'll do a sort on net spacing type. There's byte lane 0, and I can see that byte lane 0 includes all the data bits and the mask, because I can do a sort to analyze and check on all of these. And I can double check that I have no blanks. So all the classes have been assigned to all the byte lane bits. Lastly, I'll do a save, and then we can see how all this looks in the constraint window.